Hello again, everyone. One of the things that is somewhat frustrating in IT is keeping up with all the changes. There's all kinds of different software versions to keep track of, and then, of course, there's operating system versions as well. And when your current operating system or Linux distribution reaches end of life or is about to reach end of life, then it's time to make some decisions and plan a migration. In a perfect world, a migration to a newer version of your chosen Linux distribution is going to be completely flawless and smooth. You're going to plan it ahead of time, you're going to be prepared for it, and you'll have that migration done before anyone else. But one of the first lessons that you learn in IT is that things don't always go according to plan, and, well, this isn't a perfect world. So for example, if your chosen distribution is about to reach end of life, or worse, it already has, then unfortunately you as the administrator, you have some work to do. Now the truth of the matter is, a migration to a new operating system or distribution version is, well, it's hard. It's one of the more difficult things that you will do as an IT administrator, and sometimes you just need a little bit more time to comfortably migrate, especially considering if you rush into a new distro, then you might actually encounter some issues, some incompatibilities. It's just the way of life when it comes to IT, and sometimes you just need a bit more time to make a project like that successfully happen. Now, at this current point in time, I'm recording this video in March of 2021. We have Ubuntu 16.04 that is going to reach end of life next month. This month, we have Oracle Enterprise Linux 6 on the chopping block, and worse, CentOS 6 reached end of life last November. And those are just 3 distributions off the top of my head. So what do you do in a situation like this? The answer is usually obvious: upgrade if you can, but like I mentioned earlier, it's not always that easy to do that. So in this video, what I'm going to do is talk to you guys about extended lifecycle support from CloudLinux. And I'm also going to give you 3 examples of installing it. I'm going to show you the process on Ubuntu 16.04, and then I'm going to show you the process on CentOS 6, and I'll also show you the process on Oracle 6 as well. But what does end of life actually mean anyway? I know a lot of you probably already know, but essentially what end of life means when it comes to Linux distributions is that when a distro reaches their end of life date, then from that point forward, they will no longer receive security updates. It doesn't mean that your servers will all of a sudden stop working, stop functioning. They'll continue to function as they are currently at this point in time, but they just won't receive any new updates for new vulnerabilities that are discovered later on down the road. So this doesn't mean that when your servers reach end of life, that you're automatically going to get hacked the minute they reach end of life, but they will become increasingly more vulnerable as time goes on, so it's important to do something about it. And the solution that I'm going to go over today from CloudLinux is one solution that you can utilize to keep your servers going for a bit longer. Now, full disclaimer, CloudLinux is a sponsor of Learn Linux TV, and they have been for quite some time now, but they are a sponsor specifically because I utilize their services and I do legitimately enjoy their services. I've been using kernel care for a while now that helps you keep your servers online and avoid reboots when you install security updates. Kernel care actually live patches your kernel. And I do legitimately think that the service that they are providing through their extended lifecycle support is a great value for companies that are scrambling to get all of their servers updated at the last minute. In fact, CloudLinux has a dedicated website for this effort at elsportal.com. And here on this page, we can see some of the features that are being advertised. It mentions that patches are available soon after CVEs go public. The setup process is easy and straightforward. It gives you kernel and critical package updates. And this is very important right here. ELS gives you an additional 4 years beyond the end-of-life date from the vendor. And the pricing starts at $3.60 US dollars per server. And from what I found, it actually is the cheapest option available today, which is awesome. And it supports multiple distributions as well. For example, right here, they advertise CentOS, Oracle, Ubuntu, and Debian. And Debian is currently in the planning stage at this time, but this service is already available for CentOS 6, Oracle 6, and Ubuntu 16.04. which coincidentally are the three that we are about to go over in this video. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to show you guys 3 examples of installing extended lifecycle support on some servers. I'm going to show you the process in Ubuntu 16.04. I'm going to show you the process in CentOS 6. And I'm also going to show you guys the process in Oracle 6 as well. Now, first of all, let's go over Ubuntu 16.04. And I'm choosing this one first for very selfish reasons because I wrote a book about Ubuntu 16.04. It was the first edition of Mastering Ubuntu Server. The 3rd edition is out right now, and that covers Ubuntu 20.04, which is the latest long-term supported release of Ubuntu. But Ubuntu 16.04, like I mentioned earlier, that is actually going to reach end of life next month. So what I'm going to do now is show you the process of installing extended lifecycle support on Ubuntu 16.04. Now, first of all, Canonical themselves actually offer a solution for extended service on Ubuntu 16.04 that I want to make you guys aware of. They call it Extended Security Maintenance, or ESM for short, and it's actually part of their Ubuntu Advantage offering. And their service is priced at $225 per server per year for a physical server and $75 per year for a virtual machine. Ubuntu Advantage offers additional benefits, including landscape, and the package also contains services around OpenStack, Kubernetes, and more. But if you are only considering Ubuntu Advantage solely for their extended security maintenance support to keep your 16.04 server running for a little while longer, then you're paying for an entire year whether you need that long or not. And the way I see it, if you are only planning on running 16.04 for a few more months, then it really doesn't make sense to purchase an entire year of support. By comparison, the extended lifecycle support from CloudLinux will set you back as low as $3.60 US per server per month, and they don't have a minimum, which means you aren't required to pay for an entire year if you don't need an entire year for your server. In addition to that, their price does not change based on whether your server is physical or virtual. All right, so here I am with a server that is running Ubuntu 16.04. And as you can see, there's the release information for the distribution running on this server. Currently Ubuntu 16.04.7 LTS. And I have to admit, I'm really sad to see Ubuntu 16.04 go. It was one of my favorite distributions. But, you know, that's how it goes in the IT industry. Sometimes things do have to sunset. And that time has come for Ubuntu 16.04. Thankfully, we can keep it going a little bit longer with extended lifecycle support from CloudLinux, like I mentioned earlier in the video. So what I'm going to do right now is show you the process of converting it over, so that way we can continue to receive updates on this server. Well, let's get started. I'll paste the first command right here, and this is pretty straightforward. So we're simply using wget to pull down a Python script that is hosted by CloudLinux. And you can tell from the name, even though it's actually wrapped a bit, the name of the script is install Ubuntu ELS. So as you can see, this script is specific to Ubuntu. Now, each of the supported distributions will have their own Python script. So this one is specific to Ubuntu. And just like that, we have it saved now locally on the file system. And you know what? Let's go ahead and run the Python script. I'm going to prefix the next command with sudo because it's going to make system level changes. And since it's a Python script, we'll run the script through the Python interpreter. And then I will autocomplete the name of the script. And as part of this service, we will be provided a license key, and we will provide that license key with the -- license key option, as you see here. So I will paste in my license key right here. And there it is. That long string of characters right there is an example of a license key that you would be provided with this service. So I'll press enter. And that was all there is to it. The repository is now installed on this Ubuntu server. But what exactly did it do? Well, I'll show you. So I will change directory into the etc apt sources.list.d directory. And inside there, we have this file right here, ubuntu-els.list. As you can see, it was just created. And if we take a look at that file, you can see that it includes the URL for the repository, along with a key that references your server at the end, and you can see mine here on the screen right now. If you install extended lifecycle support on your Ubuntu 16.04 server, then your repository file will look similar to this. And to ensure that everything was installed successfully, we can first run sudo apt update to refresh our repository index, which was actually successful, as you see here. We can ignore the error about i386 support. I don't actually use i386 support on this server, so that doesn't apply. And then next we can search for the package tmp reaper, and then we can grep for CloudLinux. And we can see that the package is available, and it does mention CloudLinux. And that package being available with CloudLinux mentioned in the string means that everything was a complete success. So the repository was installed successfully, as you can see. And now that this Ubuntu 16.04 server has the CloudLinux repository installed, it'll continue to receive security updates from CloudLinux even after Canonical pulls a plug on Ubuntu 16.04 LTS. In addition, I want to let you guys know that there's also the ability for you to create your own local repository within your network for your servers to pull updates from. And that goes for the other distributions that I'm going over in this video as well. So essentially, you could create your own local mirror of the CloudLinux repository. For that to work though, your external IP has to be whitelisted, and you'll have to contact sales in order to set that up. So just keep in mind that a local repository is an option should you wish to explore that. Now let's talk about CentOS. Here I have a CentOS 6 virtual machine that I'm going to use to show you guys the process of installing this repository on CentOS. But the situation with CentOS 6 is actually a lot worse. So for example, I'm going to run sudo yum update. And the reasoning is because I want to make sure that this CentOS 6 server has all of the current updates installed. And yes, it's not going to receive any new security updates. It actually reached end of life back in November. But at the very least, I want to take advantage of all the security updates that were released up until they did pull the plug on it. So I'm going to run sudo yum update to do that. I'll press enter. And you can immediately see the problem. So with CentOS 6, I can't even do that. I can't even run a full system update. I just set the server up today and, well, I can't really do a whole lot with it. So if this was some sort of production server for my organization, then the way it was at the time that it reached end of life is basically where it's frozen. Let's see if we can fix that. And similar to what we've done with Ubuntu earlier in the video, I'm going to pull down a Python script, and this one will be specific to CentOS, and then we're going to run it. Now the method that you use to pull down the script depends a bit on what commands you actually have available. With Ubuntu, I use wget, but unfortunately wget is not installed on this particular image, and I'm not going to be able to install it either. However, I do have curl available. So depending on what you have on your server, if you have wget installed, you can use this command, the command that you see on the screen right now. You can use wget to pull that down. But if, like me, you don't have wget on the server, then what you can do instead is see if you have curl installed, and I do. So then what I'm going to do is change wget to curl, and then I can redirect that to a local file. And there it is. And since it's a Python script, I will of course run it through the Python interpreter, just like I did with the Ubuntu version. I will need to provide it my license key, so I'll paste that in right here. And there we go. We should be good to go. I'll press enter. Let's see if it works. And that was very fast. So now the repository has been installed. Let's go ahead and verify that it was installed successfully. If you recall, I wasn't even able to run updates on the server at all. But now that we've installed the extended lifecycle support repository, let's go ahead and run sudo yum update again and see if we get better results. And already it's looking, well, a lot better. Now take a look at this. As you saw earlier, I wasn't even able to connect to any repositories at all whatsoever. I wasn't able to install packages, and I wasn't able to update packages either. But now that I have installed the Extended Lifecycle Support repository, and then I ran sudo yum update, I now have 112 packages available for upgrade, which will require one new package to be installed. So I'll type Y for yes. Let's go ahead and get this server updated. And since this is the first time that I've installed anything from the Extended Lifecycle Support repository, I will need to accept the GPG key. So again, Y and then enter. There you go. All the packages on this server have now been updated, which was something I couldn't even do at all before I installed the new repository. In addition, I can finally get wget on this server, and now I have wget installed. So essentially, the CloudLinux Extended Lifecycle Support repository has actually made this server pretty much function again. The server was essentially useless until now, because if I wanted to set up Apache, for example, I wouldn't have been able to do that until I installed the new repository. So what's the process like on Oracle Enterprise Linux 6? Let's find out. Just like I've done with Ubuntu and CentOS, I'm going to download the appropriate Python script. I'll just paste in the command, and there it is. I'm going to download the Oracle Linux version of the install script, and that's going to just save it locally, and it's there. And of course, I'm going to use sudo because this will make system level changes. Need to run it through Python, just like we've done before. I'll feed it the name of the script, the one I've downloaded. And I will paste in the license key right here. So nothing you haven't already seen. It's the same process that we followed with the other distros. I'll press enter. And there you go. And it actually took me longer to explain what I was doing than it took for the actual process of getting this installed. I was actually able to install this in seconds. So what did this script actually do on Oracle Linux? What I'll do is change directory into the etc yum.repos.d directory. I'll list the storage. And as you can see, we have a new repository file, the Oracle Linux-els.repo file. And as part of the URL, we actually have a token right here that is specific to my server. So of course that will look different on your end if you were to install this on Oracle Linux. But this means that my server has registered with the CloudLinux servers, and I am now authorized to receive security updates from those servers. And to test this further, I'm going to pull the info for a package. I'll just use curl, why not? And I'm going to grep for ELS. We have ELS as part of the name right here and right here, which means that these packages are coming from the Extended Lifecycle Support repository. Basically, it's working. As part of the new version of this channel, I've been wanting to do more videos on Enterprise Linux, and that includes an entire series on Enterprise Linux security, which I hope to debut very soon. Stay tuned for that. But this video in particular is also important because it's often a pain for administrators to move from one version of their distribution to another, and that's especially true when their chosen distribution is about to reach or has reached end of life. And when it comes to the solution provided by CloudLinux, the Extended Lifecycle Support solution, it's my favorite solution for keeping your Linux servers going past their end of life date for many reasons, including but not limited to the fact that it's cheaper, but not only that, it supports multiple distributions, and a lot of enterprises out there use multiple distributions. So you don't have to pay multiple companies for the privilege of keeping your servers going. You can pay one company for that, and they already support 3 distributions with more coming, and I've shown you the process in this video. It's very easy to set up. If you are currently running out the clock on your distribution of choice, then I highly recommend you give Extended Lifecycle Support a try. It might just make your life a bit more comfortable, considering that you won't be in as much of a hurry to get your servers upgraded as you normally would be. And in today's day and age, having less anxiety is definitely a great thing. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe. I have some amazing videos coming very soon. And in addition to that, please click that like button if you like this video, because that lets YouTube know that you want to see more Linux content just like this. Thanks for watching.